Dear students, greetings from Dr. K. Sendil Murugan, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Information Technology, Kakatiya Institute of Technology and Science, Warangal. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss about dynamic memory allocation for two-dimensional array. In the previous video lecture, we have discussed about one-dimensional array with dynamic memory allocation. So, what is dynamic memory allocation? So, if static memory allocation, first we know that we are used allocating the array with the size. We know that what is the maximum size of the value we can store in the array. So if you don't know, we are not able to fix the number of elements for the array. So that time, at the time of execution, we want to change the size as per our requirements. For that purpose, we are going for memory allocation with the dynamic way. That is called like dynamic memory allocation. In that already we have discussed about MLF function, CLF function, ReLF function, as well as tree function for deallocation. Those things already we have discussed in the previous video lecture. So in this video lecture, especially we are going to discuss about dynamic memory allocation for the two-dimensional array. So dear students, this is week 3, lecture 3, classroom discussion topic 8, dynamic memory allocation for two-dimensional array. So after complete this video lecture, students will be able to develop a C program to allocate memory at the time of execution if need to extend the memory size for a two-dimensional array. So for two-dimensional array, we have seen how the MLF function is used for allocating the memory with syntax also we have discussed in the previous video lecture. Now we can extend our understanding further to do the same to simulate the multi-dimensional array. The previous video we have discussed about the single dimensional array. So like we have to use the size of the array, will take a number of elements, that many value we can assign based on the MLF function, it will be assigned. Then it will return the pointer of the first memory where it is allocated. If you are not sure the number of columns, for in two-dimensional array, we know that we are using rows and columns. If we know how many rows or how many columns means directly we can represent. But in the situation, we don't know how many columns are there. So in that situation, we will use the rows to create the memory. When we are creating the database, that time we can include the columns also. Okay. So each row it will be created the MLF function. Then each row we will get one pointer after allocating it. The pointer is pointing to the particular row. So we'll see the program how it is working. Initially, we know that how to write this. This is the statement we are using for allocate the memory using single dimensional array. But here we are using rows. So first we will get how many rows and how many columns. So after getting these two values, we will allocate the memory for each rows. Okay. So this statement is used for create the memory at the time of dynamic memory allocation using MLX statement. Okay. So if the array we are getting some values means the memory is allocated to that. So but we are using double asterisk here. This is for multiple rows we are creating. So for pointer of pointer, that purpose we are using this. Okay. So if we are getting array ARR with null value means we are not able to allocate the memory for dynamic memory allocation. So in this situation, we can print memory would not be allocated. Okay. So after allocating the rows, each row we have to create the memory. So we know that how many rows are there, that many pointer it will be created. So then we know how many columns it will be there. So according to the column, each row we have to create the columns, number of columns. Then each row we have one pointer, then number of columns we can move forward for right direction. So example, if we have the values 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the row means initially we are created using that double asterisk, the previous slide. So now we have the pointer. So if we want to access this first row, the first column values, it's example 0, 0 value. This is 11, 12, 13. Like that, if we have the values, so it will be go one by one, the column values. Okay, so each values it will be allocated the dynamic memory. Then it will move forward. So after allocating this memory, how many columns is there? Then we can get the value for those arrays. So the array may be I comma j. We can use it's up to 0 comma 0 to up to row and column. Okay. So after getting the value, the memory will be allocated. Then directly we can get the values. Whatever value we are getting using this scanf statement, that will be printed using printf statement. Okay. So simply we know that how we are allocate the memory. Clear. So here we are using rows for double asterisk. It will create the one pointer. It is pointing to rows, number of rows. Okay. So then after rows, how many rows we are created, accordingly that column we can create the memory. So each row and column we are created, it is multi-dimensional array. So this is used for printing or scanning the two-dimensional array. So here this statement is used to read the data. This statement is used to print the data. So after printing it, we can use that free array of I. So once we are used all the arrays we are created, we are printed, all the purpose is over means, then we have to remove that memory allocation. Then only it will be useful for the future allocations. Okay. So here ARR is a pointer to integer. That means we are using double asterisk, that is pointer to pointer, we can say. The first level as it points to the block of pointers, the entire block it is pointing to one pointer. Each row we will first allocate space for rows in the array. The space allocated to each row is big enough to hold a pointer to integer. If you want to allocate only one row means we need only one pointer. But if we don't know how many columns will be there means, then accordingly we have to create. If successfully allocated, then this space will be filled with the pointers to columns. Okay. So once the memory is allocated for two-dimensional array, we can use the subscript to access its elements. So again, individual pointer we are creating, that each pointer it is pointing to the corresponding location. You can write array of I comma j means that location I will pointing to the row and j will pointing to the column values. So if example 0 comma 0, 0 comma 1, 0 comma 2, the 0 row is the 0, then column will be up to how many columns we are given. Accordingly, it will be there. So based on that, we can pass the values also. So example, if in case we want to pass such array, if any array we are created with the dynamic memory allocation, we want to pass that value to any function, then we can use this statement, function of int double asterisk array. So why we are using double asterisk array? It is pointer to pointer as integer values. Then how many rows, how many columns is there, then we can use that value for passing that function. Okay, so now we are in the end of this video lecture. I hope you are understood how to create the memory for two-dimensional array and how to allocate it. After allocating, how we can use like the scanf and the printf statement using the for loop. So clearly, I hope you understood. Then now we have to take this answer for this question. How many arguments will it take by CLF function and the MLF function? So I hope you know that the answer will take 10 seconds times to answer it. If you are not able to understand or if you are not able to answer properly, then you can go back and visit the videos once again. Then you can answer it. So if your answer is correct, then you will proceed further. Okay, take 10 seconds time. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you. So I hope you have written the answer. If your answer is correct, then we'll think about that MLF function, CLF function. So if your answer is correct, you can proceed further. Otherwise, you can go back and watch the video once again. Okay, for CLF function, we have to pass 2 arguments. For MLF function, we can use only 1 argument. Okay, this is the right answer. If we have written the correct answer, we can proceed further. Otherwise, we can go back and watch the video once again. So what we are discussed with that, so we are discussed about MLF function and CLF function, free function. Using CLF function, we are not used in this presentation because we are used MLF function to allocate the memory in 2-dimensional for dynamic memory allocation. So with example program also, we are kept it. So this lecture outcome revisited, develop a C program. The student should be able to develop a C program to allocate. This is lecture level problem, sorry. So this problem you try it. Okay, so using DMA function to extend the size of the 2D array at the time of array. Okay. So having completed the discussion on dynamic memory allocation for 2D array, now students should be able to develop a C program to allocate memory at the time of execution if needs to extend the memory size for an 2-dimensional array. So thank you very much for listening to this video. Further doubt you can visit Remata Raja textbook memory allocation in C programs. Thank you all for listening. Happy learning.